Now my windmill I am tilting at is the roughing the passer rule. And it seems like whatever was discussed last Wednesday, even though they did not change the language and they did not change the emphasis, they changed something because I didn't see a lot of the nonstop flags on the front. The flags I saw on those penalties were mostly merited, except for I think Arden Key breathed on
Right.
Baker Mayfield and won.
Right.
What are you hearing of what went down in that conversation last
See,
week?
I think if there was no rule change. We understand that. But if you look at language that came out of that, they said some things that to me were reminiscent of what they did with the initiating contact with the helmet when they came out and said it's not a foul if it's incidental or inadvertent. And as soon as they said that, boom, it disappeared off the face of the earth because it gave officials latitude to not call those iffy ones. And when they said after this conference call that they didn't change the rules, but they talked about techniques. And it's those techniques that made the difference. The technique of putting your arm down to brace yourself when you hit the ground. The technique of attempting to get to the side when you're landing on top of the quarterback. And that's what has led to the change. And I just looked at a whole series of plays where players did a good job when they were put in that situation of coming up from the middle and wrapping up, kind of like Clay Matthews did. They did a good job of extending their arms, going to the ground to try to brace their falls, and they weren't called roughing the passer when they were prior to this. So there was really only one, and it was C.J. Beathard of the 49ers that got driven into the ground, and literally the defender there wrapped him up and took him, slammed him into the ground, and never extended his arms, and that was called, and that's the only one, and I think that's the way that it should be. And so hopefully we're going to be through with this and not have to talk about this, and we'll get a catch-no-catch controversy that's going to bring us all back to normalcy, and we'll start talking about what a catch is.
No, Mike, I think that's fixed.
You do?
I do.
Good.
Where we've got one game left in week 4, everything that I've seen, and I've seen even ones where I knew for a fact last year it would have been reversed or non-touchdown or whatever, and they just leave it alone.
Well, I hope you're right. I know that we saw one that we felt would have been reversed, but their philosophy, this was
Which one?
This was really I don't remember which team it was, but it was because it wasn't one of our games, but it was a catch, and on the field they ruled that the receiver had the ball long enough, but he didn't, but they stayed with it because.
Are you talking about Kenny Golladay on Sunday Night Football creasing the end zone against the New England Patriots?
No, that wasn't the one, but I wish I had a better memory to remember but I just kind of glanced at it that we thought it would have been incomplete, but they left it as it was because he got control, got both feet down, and the officials on the field ruled that he kept it long enough, and they stayed with it. So they're doing that, which I think brings in common sense and stays with what the officials call is. So I hope that's the case. And like you say, we're one game away from being completed in week 4. And I don't know what we're going to talk about if, in fact, this roughing the passer thing goes away.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern on Audience.